Hollywood goes nuclear on layoffs. New cuts indicate a bloodbath is incoming. Disney laid off 300 corporate employees just this week. It's part of its ongoing effort to cut costs. But this is part of a broader reduction plan with 8,000 job cuts targeted by CEO Bob Iger, including layoffs in legal, HR, finance, and communications. Despite all the money they made with Inside Out 2, before Inside Out 2 came out, they knew they would not need all the people they had to do what they want to do. They're producing less, so they laid off 175 workers, many of which who actually worked on Inside Out 2. Disney's ESPN division also laid off people, with high-profile on-air talent including Zach Lowe, Robert Griffin III, and Sam Ponder being let go, reflecting broader cuts across the network. Layoffs and financial challenges aren't unique to Disney. Paramount Global, Warner Bros. Discovery, and Comcast are all grappling with debt and streaming-related costs, leading to similar workforce reductions. The competitive and expensive streaming landscape has forced even major players like Netflix, Disney Plus, and Hulu to reevaluate their spending, with Netflix focusing more on live events and licensing older shows instead of producing new content, because live events do draw a lot of viewers. And if Netflix can get some live events, which they do have and they're doing more of, they will get new subscribers. Even though live events are very expensive, it's very low risk for them. Additionally, older shows that already have a following are also low risk for Netflix. Why would they need to risk money on new shows if they know they're going to get new subscribers and keep subscribers with live events and old shows? For the people that produce new content in Hollywood, it's a really, really difficult time. I've been calling it a depression on my videos because that's what it looks like. Massive, massive cuts in production. And in the middle of all this, you have this from The Hollywood Reporter. Casting directors say their pay is down. They're asking studios for a minimum wage rate. Now, it's not like they make less than minimum wage, but they do make a lot less than you would think. Even professionals behind Breaking Bad and The Gilded Age argue they're not actually going to make the money they need for the quality of the work they do. There are people that were casting directors in the 1980s and the 1990s that were making more then than they are now. What's the problem? The problem is they don't need these people. There are just too many of them to hire. And then you've got the Animation Guild trying to create a deal when it's already well known that animation is going to lose a lot of jobs because of AI. And beyond that, James Cameron basically just put his big stamp of approval on AI, joining the board of directors of Stability AI, and going on the record saying the intersection of generative AI and CGI image creation is the next wave of film technology, as he joins the company behind the popular Stable Diffusion AI model. Stable Diffusion is pretty much the big AI model. He's even said previously he thinks he could be replaced by AI, but that actors won't be replaced by AI. We'll see. Coming from Forbes, Disney layoffs indicate more Hollywood cuts are coming. As if Hollywood needed any more reminders why the mantra "stay alive until 2025" is going to be difficult for many industry workers, Disney embarked this week on another 300 layoffs, on top of thousands of other layoffs at Disney and across the industry. This set of layoffs in the Burbank, California-based Disney largely hit corporate workers in divisions such as legal, human resources, finance, and communications. All told, Bob Iger has targeted 8,000 jobs for elimination. Some 4,000 of those cuts landed in April of last year, but more keep coming. And there's been a limit to the consolidation they're actually doing, where they're saying they're not going in and saying Lucasfilm, it's completely unproductive. Why would you not take Lucasfilm, cut it to pieces, and put whatever's left of it under, let's say, Marvel? I would do that in 2 seconds, and the movies would be better. Go to Ryan Reynolds and say, hey, you want to make a Star Wars movie? Boom, success right away. They haven't really done that. They've consolidated some operations where they had a lot of extra expenses they didn't need, but they haven't even done that yet at Disney. That's coming. In May, Disney's Pixar laid off 175 workers, and though many of those workers worked on the hit Inside Out 2 movie, a lot of them also seem to have been the troublemakers over insisting that Disney add a same-sex kiss back to Lightyear, which helped to tank that film and get a lot of negative publicity for Disney. The Disney reductions, part of the $7.5 billion in spending cuts that CEO Bob Iger instituted beginning late last year, haven't spared sports either, even though that sector has been the most watched and lucrative remaining corner of broadcasting cable. This week, for instance, Disney's ESPN division continued to lay off on-air talent, this time with NBA reporter and podcast star Zach Lowe. His departure follows recent ones by Robert Griffin III and Sam Ponder, who both, like Lowe, made more than $1 million a year. 5 behind-the-camera executives, including head of content operations Stephanie Drewley, also have departed as part of a reorganization that Burke Magnus, ESPN's president, programming and original content, told staff in a memo this week will make the company more strategic, collaborative, and nimble while resulting in new positions or promotions for people who are expanding their responsibilities or taking on new challenges. So the memo makes it clear, if you're still at the company, if we haven't laid you off yet, that means we expect you to do more with less resources. Disney, of course, is far from the only Hollywood media giant getting buffeted by the industry's many challenges. Paramount Global is headed toward a sale to a group led by Skydance CEO David Ellison and his father, Oracle founder Larry Ellison, who has untold amounts of billions. Nonetheless, Paramount's three-headed office of the CEO is proceeding with 15% cuts across its operations, which are far smaller and less profitable than Disney's. Given the debt crunch Paramount and controlling shareholder Shari Redstone were facing, deep cuts were inevitable, especially in an expected Skydance merger of overlapping operations in film, TV, and animation production. But it's all of a piece with larger layoff waves washing over the industry. Debt-saddled Warner Bros. Discovery has undergone seemingly endless cuts, layoffs, and closures since it was created 2.5 years ago from a merger between Discovery and Warner Media, and still more cuts during AT&T's spotty stewardship previously. AT&T did plenty of its own layoffs before this came to pass. Even Comcast may be vulnerable, especially as the price of NBC Universal's new $2.5 billion per year NBA rights deal starts to bite at them next year, even though Comcast parts include a cable provider, wireless carrier, and theme parks, among other holdings. Disney told the New York Times in a statement that it's looking to manage resources and costs more efficiently to fuel the state-of-the-art creativity and innovation that consumers value and expect from Disney. And that statement is why I'm doing this video. I covered Disney's layoffs earlier this week in its own separate video. But when I saw that statement, I said, that's the kind of thing that you write and you say when you're communicating to the public, hey, look, there are going to be more layoffs. We're going to do this whenever we think it's necessary or whenever we have to make a number when we're doing our financial reporting. We're going to lay off as many people as we'd like to lay off, and we're always going to be looking to do more layoffs because we do not need the people that we have. Many of the people we have are completely not necessary for the operation of the business. Just the generic statement of saying more efficiently, fuel the state-of-the-art creativity and innovations that consumers value. Another issue is when you say, we're just doing this to please the customer. That's something Amazon would always say, as Amazon would destroy industries with their multiple creative accounting and business competitive measures. Amazon is a whole other story, but one thing you'll always hear from Amazon is, our consumers are what's most important to us. We want to keep our customers happy. That's nice, and it's a good thing for companies to think about. But at the same time, you could also put in parentheses there, we don't care who and what we hurt or destroy. We don't care whatever it takes. We want our customers to be happy. If our customers are satisfied, we don't care what happens to anyone or anything involved with the delivery of that product or that service to that customer. What you say is important, and how you say it is also really important. There will be many more layoffs coming from Disney, I can promise you that. Hollywood's biggest media company is hardly alone in that search. The streaming wars proved ruinously expensive, even for the relative winners such as Disney Plus and Hulu, which Disney now fully controls. Losses just from subscription streaming video operations are greater than $11 billion across the industry, according to SEC filings by various contenders. That total doesn't include any losses at Apple TV Plus and Amazon Prime Video. Their programming and operating costs subsumed within and unreported by the vast mass of their far more lucrative main businesses, though even they are reportedly tightening program spending and operating costs. Wall Street pressures have been growing to turn streaming operations into profitable operations, a process made more complicated by the continued collapse in customers watching the company's legacy cable and broadcast operations. Cord cutting has nearly half the cable subscription footprint to little more than 50 million US households. All the streaming operations, even those owned by Netflix and tech giants Apple and Amazon, have been cutting or reprioritizing their spending on entertainment properties. Even industry leader Netflix is spending differently, even as it continues to generate billions in free cash flow, meaning it's profitable. The company has spent around $17 billion a year on programming the past few years, executives have repeatedly said in earnings calls. But now Netflix is spending more on live events like the great roast of all time, Tom Brady, which proved to be one of the company's most watched shows of 2024's first half, according to Netflix. Netflix also recently announced the deal to carry 2 NFL games on Christmas Day. That's likely to be huge for Netflix, but also means the reported $150 million paid for the 2 games' rights won't be spent on 5 run-of-the-mill comedies or a couple of mid-level action comedies, or additional woke shows. For that matter, Netflix has also been profitably licensing more and more old shows from its competitors, who after a few years of the streaming wars freeze-outs, once again are welcoming the found money of a Netflix deal for a library of shows like Suits. While that's good money for the owners and creators of those older shows, that's also money that won't be spent making new shows either at Netflix or at the production studios. All of that has translated to deep problems at Los Angeles production, post-production, visual effects, and other corners of the industry that regularly do projects with the studios. Keeping a job in film and TV seemingly has never been more difficult. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.